Okay, where do I start? I had new meds. You all knew about that. I had new meds. I was supposed to take 4 days on, 3 days off. 3 days off were supposed to be the worst. So I chose to do my meds from Thursday to Sunday, so I had good weekends. And then Monday through Wednesday, I could feel like crap. So we did our first week 2 weeks ago, and insurance wouldn't cover it at first, and there was just a little glitch, not a big deal, got it covered. But that took several weeks to figure out. In the meantime, Tim and I have done incredible things. He built me a bridge across to my fairy forest, and he built me raised beds, which we both put in dirt and I planted. And I made a path in our septic field that makes it look like a Zen garden. So there's that. And so we also had a friend visit, and we did a lot of hiking, even when I was on these meds. And everything was going okay. I had a little diarrhea, but nothing I couldn't handle. And I even asked when I came to my appointment here in Juneau, I'm in Juneau, since I'm only on half a dose and I'm doing so well, should we up it? And they said, no, let's wait and see for a while. We'll give this some time. And I was like, all right, fine. So yesterday morning, I was supposed to have an injection in both thighs. So that's the second medication that's supposed to work in conjunction with the pills. And that happens monthly. But I have to have it administered by a hospital, so I had to take the ferry to Juneau and slept in my RV overnight. We have a little conversion van, and got up, went to my appointment, had a blood draw, talked to my nurse practitioner. Everything was a go. Next morning was supposed to be my injections. I'm like, I'm ready. And then about midday, I had to take a nap for like 2 hours, which is not me. I don't do that. Sometimes I really want to do that, but I don't do that. But this time I had no choice. I was that flat out tired. And when I woke up, I didn't feel quite right. And I thought maybe I should eat something. I had hiked out to Nugget Falls in the morning between my 2 appointments. When I came back, the nap, then I made myself 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and ate an apple. And this just didn't feel like it was sitting right. Well, I booked myself on a whale watch, talked to Tim. He was all excited. I was all excited. I thought everything's going great, and I'll get my injections tomorrow, and I'll be home on Friday. Awesome. Go on the whale watch with 2 Texas families. It was 16 people in 2 families, and they were passing around the booze, and they were having a hoot and holler and good time, and I could just feel myself wanting to be part of the fun. But I just, at that point, it was like, give me a bathroom. So we saw the whales, and they were amazing, and it wasn't my first whale watch, so I was excited to learn some new things from the guide, and that was beautiful. We had one who had just finished bubble feeding on the last tour, and on our tour, he was laying belly up and just flapping his fins. So it was beautiful to see. I had gone from the whale watch to the grocery store, bought some Pepto, couldn't even look at food, and had drank almost half a bottle just to get through, and I was like, this is not even touching it. We don't have nighttime here. It was still daylight when I went to bed. But I went to bed around 10, and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it was not seasickness. I don't get seasick. This started before the tour. I parked in the parking lot of the hospital to sleep again because I had an 8 o'clock appointment in the morning for my injections. And a security guard came up. And he said, you know, I noticed you were here last night. I noticed you're here again. And I said, I know. I said, I'm really not feeling well. I just got off the phone with my husband. I was explaining why I was in tears, and said, I really just do not feel well, and I don't want to be far from help. But I'm here from Haines, which is a 4-hour ferry ride away. I have no place else to stay. And he said, you can stay. You just need to know that this is a very large wandering bear area. So just be careful every time you walk out of your rig. Oof, about 11:30, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was so nauseous. So I spent most of the night in the ER. It was a wild night there, let's just say that. They didn't listen to me when I said I needed a hot pack to get an IV in. And that's okay, because I was heard a second time, and that actually made it work. But in the meantime, they were apologizing profusely because there was a woman who was being brought in, and they said, you're gonna hear a lot of things. Just need to know that we've got it under control no matter what you hear. I was like, okay. Sure enough, for a good hour, she was not a happy camper. And I felt really bad for her. I felt bad for the nurses. And while this took attention away from me, and I didn't have an IV where anything was being put into yet, I was just sitting there trying not to throw up and trying not to soil my pants. Ran out into the bathroom a few times. They didn't even have time to tell me where it was. I had to find it myself. They're very short-staffed, admittedly so, and they all had to be all hands on deck for this other woman. So finally get an IV anti-nausea meds. So that takes us about half an hour to go through. It's not helping. And then it still wasn't helping even after sitting with it for some time. As bad as I feel, it's not as bad as the poor woman next door. And then it weirdly took a turn. Everything was okay. But this is cute. There's a rainbow over my head. So they asked if I wanted to be released, and at that point, another person was being brought in, and they said, here's your TV show again. It's the channel you don't want to watch. Just know we have everything under control. And he flipped a cart and he threw metal trays, and I just was like, I wish there were locks on this door. Nurses can't believe the stuff that they have to put up with, the names they were being called and the accusations being hurled at them, that, you know, you feel bad for the person who is visualizing these things as happening to them, and it's not. And it's like, what kind of hell would that be to be trapped in? So anyway, they asked if I wanted to stay or if I wanted to go after the first infusion, and I was like, I'm gonna go. I feel pretty good. I'm gonna go back to my RV. I won't be far away. If it gets bad, you know, we can talk again then. They said, please do come back if it gets bad. Gotten out of the ER at 3:30 in the morning, and it was 5:30 in the morning when I woke up. Just 2 hours relief after all of that. And I woke up vomiting in my sleep and coughing stomach acid out of my sinuses and my trachea. If you can just imagine pouring vinegar down your trachea, that's what this felt like, which is why my voice is the way that it is. I am not confident in going forward with this medication. Poor Tim, he's trying to find me a flight home. I'm like, this is where I need to be. I need to be where there's a hospital. And I can't fly like this. I need the bathroom every 5 seconds. If we can't get this under control with just the one med. Oh my God, there's a bear. I think that bear was just walking around my rig. It was just this little black bear. All right, let's go see if they can do anything else for me. I don't know what else they can give me, but man, it better be a lot stronger. Back on the IV, more anti-nausea meds. I'm allergic to the second one they used. My shoulders were going like this. My legs were up and down. This fist kept pumping in the air, and I didn't have control over any of it. And all I could do was think real hard and long about keeping this arm flat and steady, because this is the one that had the IV. When they came in to check on me, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I am literally convulsing, and I don't know how to make it stop. So they said that this is a known reaction to some people. I'm always the some people, but it's new doctors and they don't understand that. And so he said, there is a cure for what's going on. Don't you worry. What we do is we give you Benadryl, and that will counteract this reaction. They give me the Benadryl and it burns as it's going in. It hurts so badly. And then they slowed down the approach. They got that in and it didn't help. I was still just flailing all over. I'd sit up and I'd be like this, rocking, and I just couldn't get out of my own body. So they gave me something else, kind of like Benadryl. And whatever that was also had sleep-inducing properties. So now I've got the first anti-nausea med, which causes sleep drowsiness. I've got Benadryl, which causes drowsiness. I've got whatever they gave me to combat this anti-nausea medication, that causes drowsiness. And it was like torture. Every time I felt like I was gonna sleep, my body would just flail and I'd be awake again, and then I was so desperate to fall asleep, and then I'd just do this again. It went on for like an hour. And so when I finally fell asleep, they let me stay there asleep for a good 2 hours. They wanted to know if I would check out, and I know why, because it was getting busier, and they can't have someone just sleeping in an ER room when somebody who's in real trouble needs that room. So I said, I'll just go back to my RV, everything will be okay. So they have this program where they will reimburse you for up to, I think, $750 per the year for anyone who has to have travel expenses. So I have my receipts. I talked with somebody there, and she said, have you eaten anything? I'm like, I can't eat anything. I can't. And she said, listen, they had gotten me a room in the building adjacent to the ER. It's their own like dormitory facility for patients who travel. $70 a night. And I said, do you have space? And they did. They had the room for 2 nights, which is what I need. So they let me come here. With Bartlett House comes access to our cafeteria at the hospital. And so she brought me there, and I said, listen, I'll get some stuff for tomorrow. I just can't eat today. And she's like, okay, we'll just do something. I got 2 essentially Gatorades. They're not that brand name, but I got 2 Gatorades, a fruit salad, and a regular salad, which I know I should have had something like rice or toast or whatever. I was so thirsty. I was so dehydrated. I just wanted foods with wet textures. So I did that. I brought him back, and then I laid down. And while I was laying down, the people from the oncology unit called me and said, we understand you've got 2 prescriptions and that you're too loopy to drive. And I said, yes, I am. And so they said they don't normally do this, but one of the women on the front desk took a ride, picked up my scripts, and dropped them off at my room as I'm doing my laundry in the sink because I have been such a mess. Here's the kindness of this woman who knocks on my door and says, here you go, this is gonna make you feel better. And I haven't had to take these meds, thankfully, but I woke up several times in the night not knowing where I was. I was still very loopy. I literally just got up to get my phone, and I'm still wobbly. I'm walking like a drunk person, even though I feel like I have all my faculties in my head, but I have this wicked headache. I mean, it's definitely hangover material. I have to go for another exam with my nurse practitioner, and we're going to talk about what's going on, what this means for my treatment. The 2 medications have to work together. So spoke with Tim. We're talking on the phone a lot, and I know he just feels desperate to help, as do my friends Anne and Gail. And so that's about it. My voice, I'm talking to you now, but I'm doing this because if y'all are listening, all my people, my people, this is for you, because I can't have this conversation over and over again right now. But I will tell you that hope keeps being offered and then ripped away. And I don't want to hope anymore. I just want to make my plan or keep my plan and know that that's my choice. I just walked in there and told them I couldn't do it. So that's where we are now. I'm not doing any more anything. It was really hard to hear today that even the combination of these 2 drugs on average only gives you an extra 9 months. So that's not enough for all this bullshit in the process. I have such a mounting headache, and I'm still so sick from last night, and I'm so done with all of this. I felt fine, and I was doing great all before. Going to the ER twice in one night was a new low. And yeah, so that's that. Decision made, I guess. This is where we're at. I have some medication at home that I have kind of teased out what people do for end-of-life meds. And I have things at home that I could use if I need to bow out. If I'm alone, I will go into the woods, and that will be my place of rest, and I hope nobody finds me. If I can, I'll make it to Washington, and I will use their death with dignity laws. I want to enjoy every single day that I have left, and I'm doing that. I don't know what else to do. I mean, yesterday was a hard enough day for so many reasons of my own, but we also lost a poet laureate who has the most beautiful vision of what life could be, and they wanted nothing more than to grow stretch marks on their hearts. Their name's Andrea Gibson,
if you get to see any of their poetry and the love between them and their partner, it's a very devastating loss. They wrote a most beautiful poem about what it's like to be on the other side and so close to the people they love. People they love look right past because they're in the distance somewhere, or so they think, and it's like, nope, I'm right here so close. Anyway, check them out. Andrea Gibson. Their loss really sucks. But I know I'm gonna meet them. And that's okay. I'm gonna be okay no matter what. And I'm done putting my body through things that it can't handle. So, yeah. But this is where I'm gonna say goodbye for now. Love you guys.